In the mixer, in the mixer, da-da-da, da-da-da. In the mixer, in the mixer, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Have you two planned this?
Hello, welcome to the In the Mixer.
Welcome. And I just wasn't. Elias just catch on really quickly.
Hello, welcome to the In the Mixer podcast with our brand new intro, which will be, weekly intro from now on. Oh, what a start! What a start to the In the Mixer podcast. Back to club football. That's the sort of excitement we want to see after the lull that is the international break. Oh man, I'm energised and I'm ready to go. And my name is Phil, of course, and I'm here with Michael and Elias. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Oh,
He's still got the kazoo. I'm gonna have to you to refrain from using the kazoo.
You do make myself look an idiot, but I've said it now, so that's
okay.
Did you join in? Because I couldn't actually hear.
No, I well for about half a second because I got a bit. I didn't really know what was going on. you and Elias were perfectly in time. I was like, oh, I didn't read the DMs before the. Just not. But it's okay.
Well, next week just
like the first 3 words.
Next week, just make sure you join in. That'll be great.
Oh well, no worries.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. So, just how was your guys' weekend? Fantastic.
Mixed results.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Literally.
Birmingham lost.
Of course.
Schalke won. Of course.
Oh, that's good. Proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
AOK drew today to Hammarby in the derby. We had the best fire display there, the pyro, no party.
Oh yeah, saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, we can link that on the Twitter. But Chelsea won, so I'm happy. Morata scored again.
Spoilers. You know what's quite bad is the fact that we have a football podcast and we all support 2 teams.
Yeah,
at least.
but it's okay. Elias is exempt because he's foreign. Like that's a legit thing. Like he's allowed to support an English team. I'm exempt because I support Birmingham City, so I have to support a second team, so I don't get upset.
Depressed.
What's
And
my
Phil,
excuse?
you support a second team?
Yeah.
I thought there was about 4: Braintree, Colchester, Tottenham, Plymouth, Torquay.
I mean, we can add. It's an ongoing list.
This is more points than we got on the podcast today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks for outing me as a fan of 5 different clubs. I just want to share the love.
Investments,
exactly. Whoever's doing well, I'm always happy. Even the international break had football to watch. It's fantastic. You missed out England on that list as well.
Oh,
That's 6.
England.
Wow.
And Wales as well. I supported them at the Euros.
Okay.
7.
Yeah.
God, double figures before we know it. Okay, should we talk about some football then? We'll start with a game that contains, surprisingly, I didn't know there were any left, teams I don't support, Manchester City and Liverpool. Many a controversial moment in this game. I feel like this is... Man City obviously have been a top club now for a while. I feel like they're trying to make the Liverpool game kind of a rivalry, because it seems to always be quite a heated affair. And there's always lots of goals and always lots of drama around this one. So I think it could develop into one of the Premier League's bigger sort of feuds, as it were. This game, of course, changed on a red card. The Mane red. A lot of talk about this, so I'll just shoot over to you two and tell us what you think about Mane's instant red card.
Well, if you haven't seen the incident, Mane is running towards the goal with a bouncing ball and puts his foot up against a Edison running out from goal to try and clear it with his head, and catches Edison with his studs and gets a straight red card from a referee.
It's quite graphic, really. I mean,
It is. Yeah.
the argument against it, which I believe Klopp raised, no pun intended. That was a raised boot. Yeah, Klopp raised, Liverpool fans are raising, and other neutrals are raising. Former footballers, it's very 50-50 it seems. Saying that he has to go for the ball. saying he has to go for the ball. His eyes are on the ball. Has a right to win it, which is kind of a problem considering the rule is in place to stop people getting kicked in the face.
Yeah. If he wants to
When
go for the
Ederson
ball,
literally
he
got
goes
kicked
for
in
it.
the face.
Like if he wants to go for the ball, he goes for it with his head when it's at head height. But I understand that a clash of heads could be just as bad a resulting injury, but that'd be by the rules of the game the fair way to go enter that challenge, right?
I mean, it's not. I don't know. Do you have a responsibility as a professional to make sure? Because let's be honest, if you go in studs high and like say he goes studs high towards Ederson's shin,
Yep.
it's a straight red.
Yep.
But then if he goes above that, apparently towards his face, it's not a red. This is what confuses me. I don't understand certain
So the
people's
way
viewpoints.
the way I see it was the key points of the incident were Mane's off the ground. Not only is that 1 foot off the ground, his other foot is also off the ground, so he's one out of control. His studs are showing, and while it's very difficult to not when your foot's at that height, whether it shouldn't be determined by the degree of injury, it's a red card. He's out of control, studs are showing, and his foot is at head height. And I know that pace isn't a thing that should be involved, but at the pace it was very dangerous. It's endangering an opponent. You have a responsibility to protect your opponent, kind of thing. But in not endangering them.
No, yeah, that's very much why the rules are in place too, because it is a dangerous game, football.
Yeah.
So they have to put these rules in place to protect players, especially as these players becoming more and more valuable to their clubs. We'll move away from the red card then and talk about the actual football. Manchester City absolutely on fire, untouchable against this Liverpool defence. What did you guys think of the game before the red card? Do you think it was quite an even affair, or do you think City had this one under control?
I definitely think the red card changed the game. Like, of course, it will do 11 versus 10 men. But I still feel like City were in control. They had the game where they wanted it to be and just waited for Liverpool's mistake, which they usually are prone to making. And Aguero got the best of the Liverpool defense with a great through ball from De Bruyne. And just after that, I think they just had the game in the bag.
Yeah, I personally think that I agree with Elias in that while I don't think the game was dominated by City pre-red card, it was still very much under control because Liverpool had the capability of making defensive errors. They know that, we know that, and City were always just going to pounce on that with their attacking force. But Liverpool were very much still in the game because of their attacking force. Like we know that Liverpool's attack is very strong, and that's an area that they have looked to strengthen even more. And that seems to be the way they're looking in it. They're going to sort of outscore opposition. So a red card is always going to change the game. It probably changes Liverpool's game even more, and it just made it into a rout for City.
Yeah, that Liverpool defence is definitely something we have spoken about before. And that first goal, straight through the middle, literally straight through the middle of the pitch. A massive gap between, I think it was Matip and Emre Can who was back there for the first goal. He was sort of dropping back into almost a free at the back at points of that game, and it was I just thought it was too easy. And then obviously the red card came and the game changed. What did you think of the Aguero and Jesus partnership summed up with Jesus' goal, with Aguero with a nice, unselfish pass across the box?
Annoyed me
Really?
because
Yeah.
I have Aguero in my team, but
I
Does
just
this-
think
does this count?
it's just weird from Aguero, I think, because any other season you would have seen Aguero slot that in, I think. He hasn't really looked up to par with his finishing thus far. Of course, he scores some goals, but he's missed some chances that he really should be scoring. And he doesn't look, I don't know if it's his confidence or if he's just not really match fit, but it doesn't look like the same old Aguero, even though he's scoring goals.
Well, he's definitely maturing as a man and as a player, obviously. Of course, with his goals, he became the highest scoring non-European player in Premier League history. I see that like where he passed it across to is just not so much as not having confidence that he'd score, more just an act of camaraderie and an appreciation of what Jesus had done for him during the game. And yeah, I thought the partnership itself worked quite well. I thought Jesus is always a handful when he's on the pitch. And yeah, Aguero just seems to be relishing having a front man up there with him. What do you think they'll play? Who do they play in midweek in the Champions League?
Ooh, they are playing. Let's see, Feyenoord.
Feyenoord. So the point was, do you think they'll go with two up front, or do you think they'll go back to one and play a more sort of controlled style of tactical play?
I'm not sure actually, because I think they want to implement the system properly and let them play as much as they can with each other. But also, depending on how they want to play, who's going to start? Is Aguero going to start? Is Jesus going to start? Do they need Jesus to get more goals? Because I think he really looks confident at this stage. Or do they need Aguero to get going for real? Because Feyenoord is a team they should beat quite easily, I think. So it's just a match fit question, I think.
Yeah, because Feyenoord won the league last season. Not sure how they're getting on so far this year, but definitely a team Man City should be manhandling really if they realistically see themselves as potential Champions League winners this season. We'll talk about Sane and I'll come to Mendy as well because he had a fantastic game. But Sane specifically came on, got 2 goals. I'll let Michael talk about him a little bit because obviously coming from his beloved Schalke.
But I mean, I love the guy. He's obviously such a quality player. I hope he doesn't always sit on the bench or and just come on for City because he's so good, and I think he proved it with that last goal. Like he always performs so well for City, and that having that depth in their squad, having a player like him, being able to have him on the bench, not starting is just ridiculous. And he's actually sort of being exposed as to how good he is at City, given the attacking force they have, because Schalke are just a bit wasteful and tend to sit back on leads and things like that. And City just, you can all see how good he is. He's technically so gifted.
I think Sane has been actually starting quite a lot recently under Pep Guardiola, like the end of last season and start of this season. I don't think Guardiola wants to play him in those wing-back spots, which is where he played him against Everton, I think. So you may see him start in the Champions League game. We'll see, but he seems to trust him at least. Do we want to add anything about Liverpool particularly, apart from the obvious? We obviously have problems with their defence and stuff going forward. I mean, Salah had a chance at 1-0, which he wasted, which we've spoken about on this podcast, him perhaps not being clinical enough. Did you want to add anything on that?
Just got to sort out the defence if they want to be a break into the top 4 again.
There was also quite a weird incident at the end of the game when Jurgen Klopp, he was a bit late to thank the referees for the game, and the referees already was walking towards the player tunnel, and he was just dumbfounded that they weren't standing there still, and they offered to come back, but he was like, no, I'm not having that. It's just disrespectful. That just looked really weird because they got it all on TV as well. So.
He gave his opinion on that red card. He wasn't very happy with it. So it showed his disgust towards the referee, I guess. We'll move on next. We're going to talk about Everton Spurs next. A rout for Spurs, 3-0 comfortable win. Started off in very fortunate circumstances. Harry Kane's first goal. I was actually watching Soccer Saturday. Matt Letizia seemed to claim that Harry Kane meant this. I have no idea how he came to that conclusion. Harry Kane in the interview after the game said, it was a bit fortunate, so he obviously didn't mean it. But that bit of fortune seemed to give Spurs and him that confidence to go on and win this game reasonably comfortably.
Yeah, Harry Kane can definitely strike a ball, and we've seen that over the past few years. I don't know. It doesn't take a deflection, does it? It just goes over. It's just a sick cross.
It's like a freak goal, isn't it? It's like one of them. Every so often you get them, and I don't think it's even like sometimes you'll be like, oh, goalkeeper, but I don't know.
I want to raise the point on the goalkeeper. I think Pickford might be focusing too much on getting his defence out and not expecting the ball to come in such a way. Obviously, it's a freak goal, but perhaps he's not 100% there.
He was a bit too close to the first post for the goal, but I don't know. It was a deep cross, so it's hard to blame the positioning too much.
Davinson Sanchez's debut seemed to play quite well. Obviously, didn't have that much to do.
Confident.
Very confident. Very aware of his own ability. I think he seems to think he has big things, and this seems to be the system Spurs want to go to now with a 3 at the back. And I'm glad that we actually have a defender now in that third position. It's frustrating day for Wayne Rooney. Frustrating week really, as well. First sort of signs that he, is having a tough time at Everton already. Obviously, he's got his first 2 games. And probably Everton. It's hard. This game. Do you think this is a fair reflection on Everton's, ability when compared to the rest of the top 6 or the top 6 teams? Because losing 3-0 to a team they're probably looking to overlap with all their spending. That's got to be a bit of a shot in the foot sort of thing.
Yeah, especially at home. You'd hope that like Everton's season will be beating the teams around them, and if they want to sort of below them, and then as bonuses beating the teams above, and to sort of have an early setback on that, it's going to be a bit of a dampener for their hopes of sort of European football, etc. But Spurs are a quality team, and Spurs haven't turned up particularly yet this season. So that this might be Spurs kickstarting their season, so it could end up sort of just being a result that looks better than it might be like a full season reflection kind of thing. But you'd be a little bit worried as an Everton fan that the spending could end up seeing them in a similar position to where they've been.
I'm looking at this Everton squad and I see a lack of pace, I think. From like Sandro Ramirez, of course, young Spanish striker, he's got a bit of explosivity and can really do it up front if he just gets the chances. But I don't see him either as a really like natural goal scorer. He's got the pace that Everton needs, but behind him there's just three
creators.
Just creative. Yeah. Just like slower players, playmakers, and then you got Idrissa Gueye and Schneiderlin.
Who are very defensive midfielders.
Yeah, and Leighton Baines is getting a bit old. Well, he's only 31 now. I think he'll 32. But Cuca Martina looked really good this game, at least attackingly. He got some good crosses in, but of course they couldn't make it work.
Yeah, they're good. They're gonna be happy when Seamus Coleman comes back. That's for sure.
Yannick Bolasie.
Oh, and of course Bolassie's injured as well. Yeah. Well, that's the pace. You're speaking about then. But do you think Koeman's style perhaps wants to play this kind of total football almost, rob out the years a little bit? Do you worry for it? I mean, they had a really good result the other week against Man City, but you feel now with the transfer window done, teams are probably looking more like their complete packages, like closer to what we're going to see throughout the season. I mean, Everton, they're definitely going to be in the top half. I think we can all agree, but they just seem to be missing something, and I think it probably is that pace, like you say, Elias, and that like you say, explosivity and the way to just breaking teams down. They just don't seem to have, what they need. It's really hard to like just put a finger on it. They just seem to be poor, really. Just in the final third, they just seem to lack sort of quality, really.
What we need to take into consideration as well is that they started with 4 completely new attacking players this game, and it's only the 4th game of the season. So is it a teamwork thing? Haven't they really found each other yet? Are they lacking a bit of match fitness? They shouldn't be doing that since it's been a pretty long preseason. But as I say, it's 4 new attacking players that are playing together who haven't played together before. So I don't know.
Well, they've played Spurs, City, and Chelsea now. Teams they will be looking at as rivals. I've spent their money. They've only picked up 1 point. And I think they'll be disappointed with that because I think they would have preferred, not even if they just got one point, but those, especially the Chelsea and Spurs games, if they'd been closer, if they'd matched them a bit more, made more of a game of it. But they seem to sort of roll over in both cases. Speaking of Chelsea, 2016 versus 2017 champions. This had good game written all over it, I think. And Chelsea showing no signs of that freak Burnley result, of what it turns out to be a freak Burnley result at the start of the season, and looking very much like the champions they were last year.
Yeah, looking really confident. Like with the new signing Bakayoko and Morata coming into the team really well. And Conte said that after the game that Bakayoko is finally like adapting and finding out how Conte wants him to play, and yeah, he really fits into that three midfielder we're playing with Fabregas a bit in front of Kante and Bakayoko, and yeah, and Morata is finding the goal, which is a bit surprising, but
yeah, he's just absolutely awesome in the air, isn't he?
Yeah, I said that when we signed him. I had no idea he was that tall. He's 6'2.5", I think.
He just stays in the air for so long, kind of like Ronaldo. Yeah. He just stays up there so long.
Yeah. He's got great positioning as well, so it really helps in that.
Yeah, I did see an article saying that Morata may well be one of the cleverest strikers in the Premier League, putting it down to like his positioning and his like manipulation of like the back four, things like that. And like I know Costa did like a kind of a similar thing for Chelsea in that he was always like put down as really clever, but I think that was more personality wise. And I think like Chelsea seem to suit these clever strikers, don't they? They're not necessarily sort of like fast strikers that are going to sort of run it into the goal kind of thing, but he's such a he's such a big presence, and it seems to have worked so well for Chelsea. And he like Elias said, like that height is and his jumping ability is just ridiculous. It adds like a huge. It's like a huge. I think it's like such an underrated aspect of the game because you think of how many crosses teams put in. A lot of them will end up going along the floor, which is a lot easier to defend than defending it in the air against a player that's taller than you or has sort of a jumping advantage.
Yeah, and there's one thing I see with Morata that I haven't seen since we played with Drogba. I wouldn't say like he's smart, like footballing wise. He's decently smart, but he's nothing like Morata in the way he moves. Mm-hmm. He's more like if he doesn't get any support, he can't really do anything. Drogba could do that. He could hold the ball up and create something. Yeah, exactly. And I can see Morata doing that as well if he gets going a bit. So I'm really happy to see just the clever positioning again, because that's something I was really frustrated with Costa.
Chelsea's second goal came from an unlikely source, a 25-yard screamer from Kante. I haven't seen him put many of them away, I'll be honest. And it seemed to go really slowly across the ground. I don't know what really happened with Kasper Schmeichel, whether he was obscured or not. But yeah, I've got Kante screamer ? Written down, so I wasn't sure if it was or not. But I'll let you take this away and what your opinions are on it.
It's rolling. The ball is rolling always, so I'm not really sure how that went in, to be honest. Schmeichel should have probably saved it. But he went through quite a few people, so it was a really weird goal to concede for Leicester, I think.
It was right in the corner.
Yeah, it was, but it's not that hard, the shot. So you got some questions to ask Schmeichel after that game?
Yeah, Drinkwater didn't play against his old club, unfortunately. I think he's carrying a bit of a knock or something, started on the bench, I believe. I don't think he came on. No. I think that would have been mean by Conte, just bringing him on to get booed probably. But yeah, he'll be definitely a decent addition. I think he'll be able to do a job in that three-man midfield, like you said, Elias. And yeah, Leicester's goal coming through a penalty.
Just clumsy.
Yeah,
being clumsy again.
Yeah, I think that's the perfectly good analysis of that. It's just kind of, I wouldn't really say unnecessary to come out Courtois, but I don't know why he comes with his feet. I don't know why he just stand up to Vardy, because he's not really going towards goal, so it seems like
it's just a classic Courtois thing to do, because he just finds ways to foul the players coming towards him. I don't know why, like how he hasn't worked that out yet, because it's been quite a few years since he started doing it. So. I
think he's the only Premier League player who doesn't know how long his limbs are. Like, everyone knows how tall Courtois is, but I don't think he knows. It's like it was just really long, and he just seems to not realise. Stuck away with a lot of force, the penalty by Vardy, and that's how we finished 2-1. Do you think this Chelsea run of form since the Burnley game is down to David Luiz and his pommel horse background, I guess? Those, if you didn't see this, there's a video making the rounds. I think it was from Willian's live stream, maybe?
He's done it a few times on different live streams, yeah. He usually does on Bakayoko's. Bakayoko and him usually just joke around on his Instagram. So.
I mean, he wasn't bad. Like, he didn't fall off or anything. So, fair play to him. He has I mean, he has a lot of career opportunities when he's finished with football.
Oh, yeah.
And Pommel Horse can just be added to that list, I think. He's an interesting individual. Let's put it that way. So Chelsea looking good. Stoke, Manchester United. Manchester United were top of the league before this, and I believe they still are on goal difference, I think. But Stoke holding them steady at the Bet365 Stadium, or Britannia, depending on what you want to call it. Is Britannia a brand name? Is that a partnered stadium, or is that the official name?
Yeah. Well, the official name is the green and yellow betting company, though we can't.
Yeah.
Because
I know it's
I've already messed up this week.
Yeah. It's the
I thought
Bet365.
Britannia was like an old cruise ship.
What are we talking about now? Betting companies
Britannia?
again.
No, what about
No,
Britannia?
I thought it was an
now?
energy company.
Oh, I thought
I don't
Royal
know.
Britannia was like cruises.
Well, that makes sense. Oh, right. I don't know. Anyway, Stoke 2, Manchester United 2. We'll talk about football and not really weird stadium names. Choupo-Moting from Schalke had a fantastic
No,
game.
he was a free agent. That's not. We didn't. Well, actually, we did just let him go on a free. That's.
What was his last club, Michael?
It was Schalke, but he didn't come from Schalke, all right?
So where did what? So we had
He
we
went
had a
back
stopover flight or
He
something.
went back to was he from Cameroon? Cameroon.
So, that is the wrong way. I mean, anyone could. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, had a great game. He put himself about a lot. Did a lot of running down the wings and made himself a menace to Manchester United defenders. Yeah, Stoke's second goal, I think it was. Phil Jones. I mean, I don't know what really. I think he kicks his own leg and trips himself over. It was proper comedy stuff.
It's
Proper
like the
comedy
annual
stuff.
Phil Jones mistake that ends his season.
Mm.
He'll get an injury in a couple of weeks now, and that's it. He'll never hear of Phil Jones until 2019.
Do you think Phil Jones is worthy of an England call-up currently? Getting
He's
the
looking
message
good.
every week.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, I think I mentioned this last podcast though. Like Phil Jones is great when Phil Jones is fit and not being stupid.
Mm.
And the stupids come. When's the injury going to come now? That's like it's like the ticking. I think I saw a funny thing on Twitter. There's like the Phil Jones circle of life. It's like brilliant early season injury. Oh, for fuck's sake, another mistake. It's just like
Well, he's already had the stupid thingy. Well, he got banned for I think he was questioning a drug test.
Oh, really?
From that was from last season. Oh, actually, it was the I can't remember which stage it was. It was some kind of Europa game at least, and he questioned and pretty much insulted the drug testers and got a 3 or 4 game
Oh, wow. Was
UEFA
that
ban.
Oh, wow. So that carries over into the Champions League?
Yeah, it definitely does. He's out for 3 or 4 Champions League games.
It was interesting. We talked about Man United defence previously, and both of you guys said teams against Manchester United have had chances and are going to keep having chances, and Stoke actually took their chances, unlike Swansea and West Ham previously this season, and another team that Man United played that I can't remember. Everton? No, that's next week. Can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So Manchester United definitely need to show up their defence. Although both teams conceded 2 goals, Jack Butland and David De Gea both had fantastic games and made some really good saves. So, from Stoke Man United to Crystal Palace, who had a tough day at the office again for Burnley. Started off in fantastic fashion with Lee Chung-Young putting through Chris Wood and Hennessy making an attempt, a John Terry-esque attempt to block the ball with his head. Chris Wood, first of all, we'll talk about that. Took his goal really well. Fantastic start for him. A goal at Wembley on his debut, scoring in his full home debut, and a hat-trick in the week as well for New Zealand. Yeah, he started his career really well at Burnley.
He's looking like that goal scorer that they need.
Yeah, definitely.
he's doing exactly what's last
Andre
season, really.
well.
Like he is just a goal scorer. Chris Wood is sort of not much more, not much less. He's just a goal scorer, very prolific, and he's doing exactly what's asked of him so far. He's finishing the chances he's getting.
He didn't get many chances this game because Burnley didn't actually do much this game. They as soon as they scored, they seemed to sort of sit back a bit and not press as much and just seemed to let Crystal Palace come onto them. And it was very much a tale of 2 games for Palace again. When they went with the hoofy long ball stuff towards the end, they had chances, but in the middle, there was sort of this black hole in the middle of the game where nothing happened. So yeah, I mean, Masters their own downfall again. We mentioned previous weeks how mistakes have cost them goals. Michael, I believe you said the other week, just simply put, just mistakes, silly mistakes. And again, Lee Chung Young,
yeah, probably the worst we've seen, maybe.
I mean, so early on as well. I don't even know who's trying to pick out, whether he's trying to pick out Hennessy or he's just. I know he hates Crystal Palace because he was it under Pardew or under Big Sam? I can't really remember, but he basically said this guy doesn't know what he's doing, and because he wasn't getting picked. And I don't think he started for a couple of seasons or something, so it seemed strange he got just picked out of the blue, and yeah, it's unfortunate for him really. But yeah, I mean Palace, same old problems with Palace, and De Boer really feeling the heat now. There were rumours going around that if he lost this game, you know, he could go this early on, which is crazy. But maybe he may get a bit of, you know, a bit of refuge in the fact that the way they lost. I mean, there's not much he can do as a manager about Lee Chung Young putting Chris Wood through, and also Scott Dan's chance right at the end as well. I mean, as a manager, I don't know what you have to do to, you know, have your player score from 3 yards out. It should be a given at the professional level, really.
Yeah, it's one of those that's harder to miss than it is to score. But you managed
definitely.
It. And I love Scott Dan, so.
Scott Dan, not a man who's afraid to get his head to the ball, so I don't know why he didn't just thump it in as hard as he could.
He probably did, but just got it horribly wrong.
Well, he tried to glance it, and I don't know why you have to glance it from like 3 yards out.
But yeah, back to the just talking about De Boer. It's just the one thing I wanted to highlight was the fixtures they have coming up. They've got Southampton next week, and then Huddersfield in their first round of the cup. And then United, City, and Chelsea. Wow. And that's like that. They either stick with him and try and get something out of those games and see if there's anything better, but you can't see it improving for him in those games at all. Even the Southampton game, like Southampton haven't been brilliant this season, but still they're a tough team to play against. So it's like the teams, the games that you probably should have done well in are the ones that have already passed.
Yeah.
So it's either get rid of him and see if they can get some better results against those more difficult teams from a new manager or interim manager, or just stick with him through it, which is just like it's such a difficult place now for the board.
A fact there is that Crystal Palace are the first top-flight team since Preston in 1924-25 season to lose their opening 4 matches without scoring a goal.
That's impressive. They're also the only team in the top 4 English tiers that haven't scored yet. Yep. So it's pretty bleak. But like you say, Michael, there's got a lot of tough games coming up. If they change their manager, they may not even win those games, especially against the likes of Man United and Chelsea. So may as well just stick with De Boer. I mean, you're going to get no points anyway. You might as well just stick with him and see what we can pull out the hat.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems so harsh to just sack him after 4 games. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It just, it's not like he's losing games 28-0. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like he needs a bit more time at least.
Give him 10 games, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's still harsh, but at least it's 4 games in. That's unbelievable. Wow. Okay, we'll move on from one manager whose position is in deep crisis to one whose manager position is safe, and the fans love him. Arsenal against Bournemouth, 3-0. Arsenal very much looking back. Routine win. Just sort of won this game. They didn't really have to do much, to be honest. It was very much a routine win. Lacazette scored. Kolasinac played well. Actually playing on the left, Michael, so you'll be happy with that. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say really. I mean, Nathan Ake made a couple of errors leading to goals, which he did against Man City as well before the international break. He'll be very disappointed with that. Bournemouth still on 0 points at this point of the season, still struggling to score. The only goals they seem to score are wonder goals. Do you worry for Bournemouth at this point?
I don't know really. Bournemouth play Brighton next Friday. and then they play Brighton again on Tuesday, both at home. The second leg being in the EFL Cup. And after that, they got Everton away and Leicester at home. And after that, of course, Tottenham away as well. So they haven't really got like easy fixtures. Like the Brighton game, probably they should probably win. But Brighton, they are finding the goals now, and I don't know. I don't know really. I trust Eddie Howe. I think he's a decent manager, but they need to get Jermaine Defoe scoring. They need to get Joshua King back to where he was last season, and yeah. Other than that, then yeah, I think I worry for them.
Yeah, Ake obviously seems a different player now. He's signed permanently for Bournemouth. Perhaps he feels more pressure on his shoulders now. I don't know if you saw the moment in this game where the ball actually popped.
It looks like it's Begovic popping the ball because it's rolling before he takes it, and then he just squeezes the ball to death.
So angry with the decision.
Yeah.
I think Lacazette scores that actually if it's not popped, because I think it pops out of Begovic's hands, does it, after he saves it or something? And I think it's just rolling to him. I think just because the fact the ball is popped, it just sort of stops rolling to Lacazette, who would have scored, but it doesn't really matter because Arsenal won anyway. Coquelin's injury looks like he's going to miss the Chelsea game, which is upsetting because we don't like to see players get injured. But the way it happened was hilarious. If you haven't seen this, it's just he just pops out of the ground. It just looks like
Just flops.
it's just hilarious. But yeah, we saw Alexis Sanchez come on as well. Lacazette looked very sharp in this game, but of course didn't start against Liverpool. Do you think he'll be dropped for Alexis Sanchez for the Chelsea game next weekend? And if so, is that the right decision?
Yes and no.
Yeah, that's
That's pretty much what I got to say, because I can't get how Wenger is dropping Sanchez all this time, and I just don't know what he's doing, if he wants to get sacked or not.
Well, I think the reason Sanchez didn't start this game, is because obviously he's come back from South America. That's the reason he didn't start this game. But it seems harsh to drop Lacazette, and obviously Welbeck scored 2. It feels like Alexis Sanchez. I mean, he says he says he's got his hat on and his mind's on the game and everything, but it's hard to see where his allegiances lie, and whether he's going to give his all to Arsenal when you compare it to Lacazette, who's hungry. It's his first season; he's trying to make an impression on his first attempt at like a huge club in European football. So it just seems harsh to drop him. I don't know if obviously Sanchez has a chance to win the potential to win a game on his own. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I think it would be harsh, but it probably will happen. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Right, Brighton Hove Albion winning 3-1 at home to what were high-flying West Brom. Michael, you said in the last episode you were not a fan of the Krychowiak deal, or you didn't really rate him. Made his debut today, and West Brom got battered. Are those two things linked? Is it all his fault that the Tony Pulis bubble has burst?
I don't want to say that I am right about everything, but it is supporting evidence.
Okay.
That's all I've got to say. You can carry on.
Oh, beautiful. He managed to get booked straight away. So that was not booked, sorry. Foul straight away. So that was good. Nice to see what he's going to do for Tony Pulis' side. 3-1. They finished Brighton. A very good win. Scoring goals and a comfortable 3 points in the end. Christian will be very happy with that.
Pascal Gross.
Yeah. 2
double.
goals, 1 assist.
Which I think is pretty much. I think that's more goals than he got for Ingolstadt last season. But it can't be. It's got to be close. So.
Oh, he's doing the biz. So good for Brighton. Ben Foster had a shocking game. Comical, I wrote down. Some absolutely ridiculous saves. I think there was one that was offside where he sort of popped out his hands and it looked really silly. Tomasz Hemed scored. He is the first Israeli to score in the Premier League since 2013. Can you name the last one?
Wait, who is it? What nationality? Sorry.
Israeli.
Yeah, Yossi Benayoun.
No.
Really?
Oh.
Ben Zaha.
God, this is gonna test you. This is gonna test you.
It's really.
Yossi Benaim is a good shout.
Yeah, I thought that was really done. What Israeli players are there?
There's this one.
Really?
There's this one. There's the
I won't spend too long on it because
Benaim.
no. Atai Schechter of Swansea against Wigan.
Never would have got it.
He was a substitute in the cup final against Bradford for Swansea that they won.
Right.
So yeah.
Could have just said Yossi Benaim and boosted me again. Carry on.
But that's incorrect.
Yeah, but I'm good.
Swansea versus Wigan. Brighton very much reminded me of Wigan in their kit in this game. Don't know why. They just did.
And well, not a performance actually.
No, they play very well. As like Wigan did sometimes. So fair play to them.
Paul Sharner Wigan.
Paul Sharner Wigan. Oh, hate him so much. You know when Spurs beat Wigan 9-1, he was the one, and it was a handball. I'm still bitter about that. Pain in my backside.
Move on.
Marco Silva, Watford, fantastic. Again, a solid 2-0 win away to Southampton. Is he the greatest manager in the world?
No.
Yes. Okay.
He's starting to look more and more like Jose Mourinho. He's got the top button undone now. He's got the stubble coming on. In a minute, he'll shave his head and just have a grey sort of, shortcut. And yeah.
He hosts his own charity match and put himself in goal just to,
The Marco Silva charity match. Well, how far do you think he can go though? Because he's obviously a very talented manager. Did very well at Hull. He's doing very well at Watford. Early days, of course, but it looks like he's already led them to safety and going to lead them to a good season. How far do you think he can go as a manager? Do you think we'll see him at the top at a team like Spurs, or do you think this is
I think let's not get carried away and see how this season finishes.
I really love it. I think he's a fantastic manager. Watford, very good squad. I wrote down here, peppered with experience, youth, and quality.
Yeah,
and they got Premier League players with like Gomez, Cleverley, and Kabul. Youth with Chalobah and Richarlison. Experience, didn't say quality. Quality is Andre Gay Doucouré, whose goal was fantastic, and Carrillo from was it Lisbon or Benfica? I think it's Benfica, but it could have been Lisbon. One of those two. That is offensive if I've got that wrong.
It's Benfica, yeah.
Benfica.
Yeah, so good for them. Saints still can't score. I don't know what they have to do to score. Starting to feel bad for their fans at this point, especially the season ticket holders, because it must be so dull to watch them at the moment.
I was listening to 5 Live in the car, and a guy rang up about Southampton. He went, "Oh yeah, and it's got to the point where my son says, Daddy, I don't want to go watch football anymore because we don't score." And after the goal finished, he went, "Your son's a Gorish supporter." That was it.
Did you see Yamat's goal as well? Sorry. You see Yamat's goal?
I have not seen it, no.
Oh, also a screamer. So 2 very nice goals for Watford.
Oh, yeah. Was it like knocked down and he sort of just
yeah.
Yeah, I did.
He seems to always score goals and always call good goals. It's weird. Because he never scores, if that makes sense. But he always seems to score. Strange. I bet if I looked up, he'd have like 3 career goals, but he seems to always score. Strange that you have players like that. Isn't it?
Did he only just come on as well?
Sorry?
Yeah,
he came on.
Yeah.
So, good subs. Goal scoring subs. Attacking subs. That's what we like to see. Oh, in the last game of this weekend that we're going to talk about, Swansea hosting Newcastle, who have a little bit of life in their belly, a little bit of fire going on in the old gut area. I didn't watch the second half of this game because I just sat through Burnley Crystal Palace, and
then the first half
I have
of this
a family
game
to spend time with, and only one of those was appealing to me. I mean, the moments I noticed this game, a man got kicked in the willy by Renato Sanchez, who was on his debut. Wasn't there a high boot as well you wanted to talk about, and compared to the Mane one from Saturday? Matt Ritchie, I believe. What do you think the comparisons there? Yeah,
so Matt Ritchie in sort of similar fashion to the Mane one, with a high foot. I think it was Alfie Mawson.
Yeah.
Straight away, Matt Ritchie apologised. Mawson didn't make a deal out of it or anything, so just stood there and said I'm okay. I don't think there was as much contact made. I think that was the key. I think that's the key thing. I still think it's a red card by rules of the game. The only justification I could give is there is less to no contact at all. but the intent's still there. Well, not intent as such, but that sort of, if you sort of give it a checklist of criteria for what needs to be a sending off, it is still a sending off if you compare it to the other one. It kind of highlights an inconsistency in refereeing, maybe some clearing up on the rules in regards to high boots, etc. But like the incident isolated, I think it was at like less of a pace. There was like less contact, and I don't think Matt Ritchie's is like out of control.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it's actually worse than Mane's because when he puts his foot up, his back foot goes, so he lands on his back actually. So he's definitely less in control than Mane.
I see. No, I thought he slipped on landing. I don't think. I thought.
Oh no, his second leg comes up before he hits
Okay.
Yeah.
Like fair enough, but still, I still think it's a red card, and I think it's just further highlighted the inconsistencies, and it's just gonna wind up Liverpool fans really. and I think it's just gonna reinforce the point that it shouldn't be just like it shouldn't be the extent of the injury inflicted that decides on the punishment.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that is an element. Because Alfie Mawson did react to, like, if Alfie Mawson laid down on the floor, even if it was okay, laid down on the floor, attracted the attention of medical staff, the crowd would have got behind it more, etc., etc. There may have been a different decision.
Yeah, Gary Neville is one of the former players that is against this rule of like red cards for high feet and stuff like that. He made a tweet. Just like arguing with his followers, and he said every time a ball is high, a foot is high, the head stoops. It's dangerous. Overhead kicks are a thing of the past, as an argument.
Well, someone doesn't watch Serie A because Andrea Belotti's goal from the other week was bloody brilliant.
Yeah, he just thinks that. Yeah, he's with the former player elite that thinks. That the high boots are a part of the game and should not be penalised. I don't agree with that, but I can see with the overhead kick point that there is like the rule is so it's not completely clear, and that's why we see inconsistencies with the referees. So I just don't know how to handle the problem.
I think the thing is,
it is. Sorry to interrupt. It is obviously rare to have two very similar instances in a weekend that just sort of makes the problem a huge one. Like it would have been a problem just the Mane incident as it was, but like with this one, obviously, it just makes it worse. It's a very individual situation we have, but it does need addressing, I think, from the board of referees, the FA, just to maybe give some clarification so that like mistakes can be made, but let's rectify it so that in future there's going to be a definite judgment, so where we can say, oh, the referee made a mistake here.
Well, do you think he did make a mistake then?
In only giving a yellow card in the Newcastle one, I think so. Otherwise, you'd have to say if he didn't make a mistake, then the referee yesterday in the Liverpool game made a mistake.
Yeah,
because
I understand.
Like the incidents are there are a lot of similarities apart from the injury inflicted and the amount of contact. But that I don't think that should. Like if a player breaks his leg or doesn't break his leg, the challenge can still be an awful challenge.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just look at the Britos one from the other week. On Knockout. Yeah, all good points. Obviously, this rule was brought in because of the concussion stuff in and around the sporting world at the moment. Head injuries and things, so I think it's definitely on the player safety side, and it's alright at Premier League grounds if someone gets kicked in the head, but if it happens in a lower league ground where the medical staff aren't as well equipped and well paid, then it could be very bad.
Consequences could be worse.
Exactly. Yep. Ending on quite a sour note there, unfortunately. Well, we didn't actually talk about Newcastle or their goals, so we'll chat about them a bit. Lascelles' header.
Sanchez?
Oh, Renato Sanchez, yeah, go on, debut today.
No, I just think the game didn't really involve much apart from that. Maybe that's a talking point. If you want to talk about Lascelles' goal, good header. I think Elias said it to me as well that he thought it was a really good header.
Yeah, great leap.
Yeah, he's so high.
It's all about the leap, like a salmon. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Kiko Marina dive as well? I managed to catch that in the first half.
Yeah, I don't know what. There's a new rule in the Premier League that you can actually penalise players for diving after the game, but I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that was brought in this season, wasn't it?
It wouldn't be in effect here because he didn't win a penalty. if he'd won the penalty, then it would have gone to retrospective action, which kind of seems stupid.
I think they did actually say that during the game.
Yeah, I think so. During both these Newcastle and Crystal Palace games, actually, Alan Pardew in the studio. He was very happy with Crystal Palace's level of performance, I can tell you that. And I can only assume he was very disappointed with Newcastle and the fact they won.
Yeah, Pardew is the type of guy to be bitter about his exes, isn't he?
A little bitter, yeah. Oh, bless him. Oh, wow. All of the games covered. Oh, yeah, go on.
Hang on, my original point.
I tried to bring it up.
We didn't particularly have the greatest of debuts, I don't think, but obviously hasn't. I think he's even got dropped from the Portugal squad, hasn't he?
Yeah, he plays for the under-21. So.
Yeah, so like he's not really been in playing a competitive amount of football, so it's probably not best to judge him off this game, especially the way Swansea played was a bit flat. They did have a couple of good chances, but not really much happening in the game in general. So, but he did lose the ball a lot.
Yeah, I know I've said this quite a few times this podcast, but match fitness is what I'm seeing really from him as well. He lost the ball quite a few times, and he made like a few attacks just go completely to waste. He didn't really have any pace on the ball. He had his confidence, but he didn't really make anything out of it. It didn't look like he was completely just a friend with the ball.
Yeah, it could be a bad thing though, having that confidence and him losing the ball, because he could end up losing that confidence and then he's stuck with both, like not being confident and losing the ball. So, but hopefully he keeps that confidence and he gets that ability that he definitely had back.
I think he's past it.
Damn it.
I certainly do. So, we are done with that. All our Premier League roundup from the weekend's action. We're moving now to our MVP of the week. So I'll let Elias go first because we don't want anything like the other week.
Everyone's stealing Elias.
Yeah, stealing his one.
Stealing my one, okay. I'm gonna go with Pascal Gross because he's the only real player I saw made a massive like shout for the MVP. Maybe Choupo-Moting as well, but it was between those two. But I'm gonna choose Pascal Gross because of his assist as well, and beating West Brom in their form is a good thing for Brighton because they need the goals, and he stepped up and got the goals. So that's my MVP.
What about you, Michael?
I want you to go first. Ladies first. Go ahead with yours.
Well, Elias said two, and one of them was mine, Choupo-Moting. So I'm not going to say him. I'm going to say Marco Silva because I love that guy.
Oh, well, you've said mine.
Oh.
So there we go.
This is Elias. If he hadn't said Choupo-Moting, then boom, it's all fine. But so I know I'm blaming anyway.
Okay.
Why don't you list a certain German woman as your MVP of the week?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Bibiana Steinhaus.
Bibiana Steinhaus.
There we go.
Is she the first female to referee a top European League game? Is that the correct?
I'm not sure. You were the one who told me this, so I'm not sure of the facts.
Okay. She had a very good game. I would be expected, otherwise she wouldn't be in that position. So obviously a quality referee and give decisions right in that game. Not that I'll watch that game over the Premier League games because that's what I like.
I wonder if she celebrated her advantage in a Mike Dean style. She could have. Who knows?
I don't quite think it was like that, but.
Oh, wow. What an episode. I am exhausted. Oh, we have a new feature I forgot to mention. Due to popular demand, we have a villain of the week section. Because we love to criticise. And as the host of this podcast, I'm going to go first. I've mentioned his name already. Nathan Ake, I thought, had a terrible game this weekend. And considering what he did against Man City the other week, he kind of gone down from his level of performance last season. So, yeah, I'm going to name Nathan Ake as my villain of the week.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with Sadio Mane because of that red card that cost Liverpool the game, I think.
Well, if you say Mane, you're going to have to say Richie as well for consistency.
Well, yeah, I could say Kiko as well. I could
so
say everybody. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to say Mane because of that red card.
What about you, Michael?
Mine is Scott Dan. I think he single-handedly got Frank de Boer sacked. So if you, by the time the podcast's out, actually probably not, but by the time you're listening, Frank de Boer may have already been sacked, which will be me just predicting the future once again. But Scott Dan really should have scored that chance today, and that may have just bought him a little bit more time. But I really fear for him as a manager now of Crystal Palace.
So
Scott Dan is my villain.
Beautiful.
He's killed Frank de Boer's career, so therefore he is an official villain.
He's killed his entire career.
Yes.
That's
This is a man who's managed Inter Milan, Ajax, all the boys.
Nothing.
No, or PSV. Can't remember. Got them two mixed up as well. Wow. European football fans hate me. Yeah, I forgot to mention Mourinho actually in my villain piece. He refused to shake the hand of Mark Hughes.
Oh yeah, I saw that, and he stormed off the.
He shook hands with every member of the bench apart from Mark Hughes in the Stoke side. It's just the next level of pettiness. I don't know if he's trying to endear himself to the Manchester United fans, because obviously he wants to be part of the furniture there, and obviously Mark Hughes, former Manchester United player, managed Manchester City. I'm not sure how he's held in terms of like account by the fans, but who knows?
Not a clue.
Who knows the reasons? Wow. And what a way to end a podcast. I'm gonna call this. No, I'm not gonna call it handshakes because we didn't mention it. Yeah, ended on a handshake. How very gentlemanly of us.
Yeah.
Wow.
A sour handshake.
A sour handshake. What does that consist of?
A lick.
You eat toxic waste, lick your hand, and then
Spitting in your hand. Wait, no, that's supposed to be I don't know.
It's not supposed to be porn.
End it, Phil. End it.
Okay, this has been the End of Most podcast. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much, and see you later. Bye.